Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Facebook Live. We're a little bit late, but better here than not at all. So, thank you for joining us now, or if you're joining us after the fact, we're happy to have you. So, this week I am joined by Devorah Benarroch, and she is the creator of My Internet Buzz, along with many other things. So, first of all, Devorah, if you want to just introduce yourself, talk about what your business is and what you do.
Sure. Hi. Well, thanks for having me on the show. And my business, My Internet Buzz, I actually go by my brand called iDream. And I wear a bunch of different hats in my business. So part of one of what I do is one of my clients is Anglo Media. On Anglo Media, we have the platform of Janglo.net, and it's like the largest Anglo classified website in Israel. And there's a business directory. We have over 4,500 professionals in with reference information. So you can find doctors, lawyers, shaitel anything that you might be looking for. And again, with references of people who've used them. So you can really get good leads from there of people who to work with. And then we also have jobs. Every day there's, I don't know, at least 50 new jobs on there, and houses, rentals to buy, as well as secondhand merchandise. So there's a smattering of life in Israel. You can find a reference guide, and we have news and what's happening and events of life in Israel, all in English. So that's one thing that I do. And I'm in the business development, and I sell advertising, and I work with entrepreneurs for that website. Then the other part of my business is I work with influencers, and I'm a behind the scenes person who help them strategize about the business that they're doing, specific projects they're working on, and also as like a cheerleader. Because when you're a solopreneur or an influencer and you're working on different events and things and just sharing information, but you need someone behind you to help be like that sounding board and that cheerleader and that guide to give you that, like, you are doing great stuff in the world, and like to boost them and to help them to have that very great focus on what it is that they're working on at that present time. If they're selling a product or a service, if they have an event, if they're just sharing like useful world information and their perspective on something, I come in and help them do research. I help them do background information. I help them make sure their channels are up to date with all of their content, and just kind of like behind the scenes things to help them make sure they're shooting in the right direction and they're getting out the message that they want to the audience that they're looking to continuously grow and develop.
Mm.
So I love that part of my business,
Hmm.
and it's really fun.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, would you really say that with these individuals that you help, that you're working with them mainly on their marketing? Is it also business development? Like, what aspects, if you had to like put it into a category, would you say you're helping them the most on?
So anybody that I work with, the first thing we do is have a brainstorm strategy meeting. So I hear their vision and where they're going and what they want to do in the world. And then we like narrow it down to specific smaller tasks of what it is they're trying to achieve. So sometimes it could be a marketing issue that they're struggling with. Other times it could be like a business development thing, or sometimes it's a sales thing. They have a product or service they're trying to sell, and they have specific goals they want to meet, and then we figure out what is it going to take for us to meet those goals. What are they going to have to do? Do they have the right sales funnel? Do they have the right page that people can landing page, people can sign up for it? How is their email list going? Is there, if they're on a Zoom, like if they want to do a live, are they on live on Zoom and then live on Facebook? And then does it also need to get onto their Instagram page? And also, do they have a YouTube channel? How are we maximizing their message, amplifying it out into the marketplace? So each client is different, this based on their specific needs.
Amazing. Cool. This is really great because on the one hand, I feel like we could talk about what's helped you and your business growth, but on the other hand, you also have all these mini examples of like what helps all of these individuals and how do they grow. So I think it's we definitely have a lot to talk about here. So my first question would be with your clients, with these like influencers. Let's talk about them. So
Mm-hmm.
what have you seen when you've first of all, I guess I would ask what do you try to emphasize with them? What are some core principles that you've tried to implement into their plan in order that they see growth? Do you have any sort of like key things that you ask them to focus on or that you suggest to them?
That's a
I mean,
really
I know
good.
you said everyone's different, so like it could really vary. I could see how it, one person it might be this and another person it might be this. But I also find sometimes when I talk to people that they're able to sort of draw connections between what led to their mini growth, over periods of time.
It's a really good question. Well, one of my clients that I work with, and I also am in her a business mastermind group, and this is Azriela Jankovic.
Mm.
And so she does a lot of different things, but one of them is she leads mastermind groups. So I'm in her first business mastermind group, and it's been incredible. And there's a great group of women, and we all support each other on different initiatives that we're working on. And so so Azriela is now gearing up for a launch of something even bigger in the fall. So we kind of like, she used this first mastermind group as like, I guess, I don't want to, a guinea pig to see how like she could scale something even larger. So it was like a
Mm.
stepping stone that we help implement. She's even going to have a second mastermind women's group going as well. But then she's going to have a bigger launch in the fall. So sometimes like we tweak something based upon like get something small, get it going, get a group, and then build from there. It's like an example of something of like just, trying a dynamic, making it actually happen, learning from the experience, and then duplicating it again and again, and even growing from, that
Mm.
the first trial that you're running.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because sometimes especially with small businesses, when you're trying to talk to them about what helps one grow, and oftentimes we might have these sort of really big goals, right? We might think, oh, I have to do this, I have to have this many followers or this many people contacting me or whatever it is, and it can feel very sort of like out there. But if you can
Right.
kind of on the smaller scale, just sort of see, let's just try and do like this little step and this little step and then you have a prototype for how you can make it
Exactly.
bigger in the future. I think it sounds like something that if maybe people listening who run small businesses, maybe you can think about it in that way. It sounds like it's a much easier way to at least imagine your own growth.
Exactly. Exactly. Because once you can figure something out and actually make it happen in the universe, and fulfill part of your dream, then you can have something to
Mm.
reflect back on and say, oh, this didn't work. This is what we need to work on in order to build it. But we got to start somewhere. So that's
Mm.
the beauty of it. We got to start somewhere. Yalla, let's go. So so that was really exciting. And another person I'm working with, her name is Kim Bash, and she is
Mm.
in the state world, but she's got this niche, aliyah is what she is working on. And so she's helping people who are looking to make aliyah into Eretz Israel. And so she's now just like, going on all different channels and showcasing all different communities and pulling all her pieces together to be able to help as many families as possible find their homes in Israel. But she's
Mm.
trying, her niche is, thinking how to land people in the right communities, not just find a home. It's not just about numbers and the price. It's about schools. It's about dynamics. It's about jobs. It's about community. There's like so many pieces into it. So she's
Mm.
like a holistic point of view from real estate marketing.
Right. Both of the cases that you mentioned, I actually also know them as well, and I would recommend them both if anybody's in sort of either of those categories where those people can help you. I would also recommend them. So, okay, so let's backtrack a little bit because I want to hear a little bit more about you and how you got into it. So I'm curious, what prompted you to sort of, I don't know if you consider yourself a small business owner as well. It sounds like you help small businesses, but then at the same time, you're also your own person running your own
Exactly.
operation. So you have this sort of like double thing going on here. So,
Right.
I'm curious sort of how long you have been doing it. And we'll start with that and then I'll ask you my next question.
Okay. So I'm just going to backtrack even one little step further. So my history is that I went to school for fashion buying and merchandising at FIT in Manhattan. many, many moons ago. And then I started my career in the sales and marketing and merchandising world in New York City for about 7 years plus. And then I decided I wanted to get into the high tech world or technology. So networking with friends, I learned how to, that was like in the 90s. I learned how to like use the computer and become a bit techno savvy. And I got a job with working for a software company selling image database software programming. But we were selling to fashion and beauty companies, and it was really fun. And then we got bought out, and one of my friends went to start his own business, and he brought me in to help him grow his business, which then was Global Fashion Village. And so then after 9/11, then I was there for about 2 years. We built his business, or started growing it amazingly with some incredible big clients. We closed some tremendously large deals. And then 9/11 happened, and I decided to take a different road and landed up in Eretz Israel. And then when I came here, and then I came and I learned, and then I decided I wanted to make Aliyah, and then I was like working for Aisha Torah, and I was working more in the Jewish world, and Project Inspire, and so I was with them for many, many years, and more working, doing like marketing for the Jewish people, let's say. And then I just went on my own, and then I decided it was time. I had my fourth child, and I decided I wanted to go in my own business, and I worked for organizations as well as small business owners and helping them, again, training, social media, marketing. And I did that, and I've been doing that for the last 10 years, basically.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So what have you seen in your history then of let's think about just the time that you've really been running your own business. What have you seen has contributed to you growing as a business? Is it just kind of continuing to work and going, or did you see anything else that was helpful in sort of getting you to the next level of maybe higher level clients, more money, whatever it is?
It's interesting. Well, when I moved to Ramat Beit Shemesh, which was about a year and a half ago, I took this, I started working more with Anglo media and for like more heavily, and we were in the social media world. And then what we saw though, that was like where I started with them, that we had a lot of clients. But bottom line is with social media typically right now is like a branding vehicle, even though like in the last year it's changed to all pay to play, meaning anybody who's on a platform who really wants to see financial results in what they're doing, you have to pay for it. It's complete advertising. You have to pay for sponsored ads. And as anybody sees when they're scrolling through their Instagram or their Facebook pages, every other post is a sponsored post. So that's I'd say that's like one of the main things that have really changed in the last 2 years that is the business. You have to really significantly pay to create your sales channel in
Right.
those forms. There's so growing myself and my clients, I've just been networking more. I mean, obviously, personal networking is a way to grow your client base, and it's through relationships. Everything is through relationships. Like you and I are talking, my two friends, you probably know all my clients. And I really believe that the best way to grow yourself is through building, solid relationships in the work field and then helping the people. And once you start helping those people grow, then they tell their friends, and then their friends want to work with you. And it's kind of like a domino effect. So I'd say
Right.
that networking is the key, and relationships is the key to growing your business and bringing in more people.
Definitely. So I'm interested in this idea that you brought up where you talk about it, even in the last couple of years that things have changed, right? That if you want to grow yourself and you want to have presence with your, let's say, business page on Facebook, or business pages, even on Instagram or on LinkedIn or whatever it is, although specifically Facebook, I think that ads have become much more popular. So on the one hand, I definitely see that as well, where it's really hard to get traction just from a business page, just from creating content.
Right.
But on the other hand, another sort of trend that I see that really affects video in my field is that people don't like to be directly sold to. Sure, it could happen where there's an ad and you say, oh, that's what I need. It's fine that it's an ad. It's fine that they're selling something right to me. That's something that I need, and click on it and go for it. But I also find many times that the more people are trying to be sold to, the more the resistant they are to take part in it. For example, in my field in video, the best thing that I can do, this is what they always say on LinkedIn. Again, it's a little different of platform from Facebook, but I think the idea still applies, is that you should always be trying to educate people and give people value, as opposed to just coming on here and saying, here's a great video, here's some testimonials, and here's why you should buy from me. But the more that you just simply show that you know what you're talking about, that you have something to offer people, that sort of, I guess you could call it soft selling, is going to be a lot more effective in the long run. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but in the long run, that's going to be what qualifies you as the expert and going to help people to, I guess you could say, convince them that you're the right person for the job. So I wondered, while I don't disagree with your statement about, you really have to put some money into ads in order for people to see it, I think that's true for a wide audience. But on the other hand, I do think that there's something to putting a lot of time into the content that we make, whatever your field is. You could be in real estate, you could be in business development, you could be in filmmaking, whatever it is, putting a lot of time into the content that you're putting out there, which oftentimes is equivalent to money. And that's another, I think, like equally powerful way to be able to sell yourself without actually selling yourself. So I was wondering what you thought about those two things. Are they contradictory? Do they contradict themselves, or do they work together?
I think that they work together. And I completely, actually, personally, I agree with what you're saying. I do believe that organic, natural, value-driven information is a very strong selling point for someone's product or service. And I also do believe that you're in the right industry, because I think video is the way to grow oneself. I mean, right now we're in the world also of 6 billion podcasts, right? Why do people have podcasts? It's a perfect example of what you're saying. Podcasts are a value-driven information stream to alert people and invite people into people's worlds and information. Ultimately, it's like a constant soft sell of some product or service that somebody's
doing.
Right, and
it's free.
And it's free. So I completely think, and also I just think good video that's enticing and interesting and value-driven, where you can learn something, is a great mechanism to grow businesses. I personally want to learn more about your business and the movie aspect, having better quality content videos to enhance the sales cycle. I do. I think it's
definitely. Yeah, it's obviously I agree that video is very important, and it's one of the I think it's, if you look, I'm not just saying this because of me, but if you look at statistics, it's one of the top things that helps a customer to buy is when there's some sort of video. Now, what that video is and what it includes, obviously there's a lot of variety there, but that it definitely is one of the top things that helps confirm a customer's buy, basically. That said, it led to their decision to buy. So when you look at the statistics, so they definitely are there. But I think there's also other reasons for that too. And there's also lots of different types of videos that we're seeing today. So you have the types of videos that I think many people, many businesses are capable of making on their own, which are smartphone videos. They're more casual. They definitely don't have to be as polished, but they're just ways for people to interact with their audience and show who they are, what they do with their business, kind of show like their day-to-day, right? Yeah. So there's that level of video, which sometimes people will outsource to professionals if they just don't want to deal with it. But oftentimes they're able to totally do it on their own. And so that level of video, I think, has the power just to kind of build an audience, connect with them in a way that's hard through pictures. It's hard through text. It's easier with video.
Well, I just want to give you one example. I just met with a client who is a doctor in Jerusalem. She's a dentist, and we were talking about, and I said, yes, I believe you still need to show up in the have a magazine ad somewhere and a banner ad somewhere where there's high traffic. But personally, referrals, from what I understand from doctors, referrals is the best way to grow your business. So you have to reach out to your existing audience and anybody who's patient who's coming in to see you. So my advice to her was create either a custom video or maybe like a generic video. So after they leave, they get a little video like, thanks for coming in today. I hope you're feeling well. If you have any problems, let me know. And beyond that, just to let you know, the other doctors we have in the office take care of this, 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 and this. And we would be, if you want these kind of services, this is what we can offer you. And, whether it's teeth whitening, whether it's a gum procedure, offer that. And also let them know that if they bring in a friend into the practice, they're going to get 100 shekels off their next visit.
Mm.
Who wouldn't want to refer them? Who wouldn't want, you're going to go back that way. But it's that warm personal touch through a video, that personal relationship you're having with her. But I'm like, if you could do it even custom every time that person gets up and leaves and make it customized for them, because you're going to say their name, you're going to build a connection with them. It's like a heartfelt, real relationship that you can build.
Totally.
Again, it's not going to cost anything. There's no payment. There's no sponsorship. This is a real relationship, but done through video.
Right. Also, I think nowadays that's becoming even more popular now that it's very hard to see people in person. It's hard to have in-person meetings. So people are even suggesting, like replace what would be an email, what would be like a follow-up, thank you for coming, whatever it is, and send some sort of video message. I think that's also becoming more of a popular thing because it really sets you apart from other people. And with your example that you used, I would even suggest that's a great idea, I think, because it's very personal. It's only to this person. It applies to that person. It's not like it can be repeated. But another thing that I would also suggest to them that could be helpful as this doctor, you said that referrals is the way that they get work, right? But another thing that would be helpful is if this doctor probably just thought about what is my field of expertise. I don't know, let's say he was a neck doctor, I have no idea. And he just started, like releasing basic videos about like, how do you fix your neck pain? How do you know it's time to see a doctor versus you just need to do some stretches, something like that. And by just putting that type of content out there, I think something that works as well as referrals is when somebody were to say, oh, this is my doctor. They just released this cool video. I heard you had neck pain. Send it over to your friend. That doctor is going to be the first person that's in their head. So I think both those types of videos are super effective in just staying in somebody's mind, being the top person that you think of and the one that you're definitely going to call the first time that you think you might need a neck doctor or whatever it is that they, specialize in.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. I love it. I'm going to
Not
share
that, I don't even know if you have this client anymore, but just, as an example that I think applies to anyone running their business, or maybe you're trying to come up with some sort of video strategy for yourself or other people, whatever it is. I think that's like basically, that's the idea. That's the idea here.
Sense. Excellent. And all you entrepreneurs out there watching this show, I think you're giving advice. Make many little videos of little snippets of your expertise in the field that you work in and what you can do, how these certain methodologies will help grow your client base. Brilliant.
Exactly. And they stay there, like, as opposed to text or photos or posts that you make that can sometimes get buried in the feed. When it comes to videos, they can be repeated and they can be reshared and it's content you can always use. So that's another, I think, benefit. So yeah, but there's another aspect of video. I was also curious if maybe this is, I talk about almost every week in my show with people, but I'm wondering if you saw this at all. So something else that I discuss with people often, it doesn't always have to be with video, but I think video works very well with it, is the power of sharing yourself, being a little vulnerable as a way to grow your business. So I wondered if you, with any of either your clients or your own business, have you ever seen how sharing a personal story, being a little vulnerable, whatever it is, have you ever seen how that's contributed to your growth or their growth?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. I definitely think that when you are raw and honest about what's going on, about what's happening in your personal life, and you like, I many times just get on and we'll do like a video on my page about, just day-to-day life. Like I was at the Kotel or I was in downtown Jerusalem, and I was so sad to see that so many of the shops were closed, in downtown Jerusalem.
Mm,
It's because of the whole Corona situation, and there's no tourists coming in, and Israel's so many people are just not have the financial revenue stream that they were holding by. Like businesses are closing down. A lot of places is very sad. It's very real. That everybody who's working and has their business has to really be appreciate where they're holding. And I get so
mm,
much feedback on when I do those real life, honest pieces. And I also do see that my clients, when they do those things as well, they get tons of communication because you're just being,
mm.
when you're just real and you're just honest and you just want to connect, human to human, the floodgates open up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's one of those things that is very easy to do in video, but I see people doing it outside of video as well. Like they'll post a picture and then they'll share a story in text about something that's going on. And I think so many of us, myself included, really, there's a lot of fear that surrounds sort of sharing myself because we think, oh, I run a business, people only want to hear about business. But the reality is that there's so many businesses out there, right? And the only thing that really makes you you is the fact that you're you. So many people could run your business, but nobody could be you. So really,
Right.
the thing that you have to offer to differentiate yourself, of course, outside of your skills and your niche and all of these things, but it's also you being you and your unique perspective, your
Mm-hmm.
unique experience, and of course, not going over the top. But I think that the little things that we can do here and there, as we're building our business, as we're sharing ourselves with our audience, I think that that's something that people almost every time will see that audiences will connect with.
Yeah, I think that's extremely 100% on mark. That when you're authentic in life, and you're vulnerable and share thoughts and feelings and emotions, then it resonates with a lot of people. I
Right.
really like the point. Yeah.
But it's easier said than done. Like I'm just imagining you, maybe speaking to some of your clients, and you, first of all, I think you really have to know them if you want to suggest, this is a way you can be authentic or share this story or share this thing. You have to know them really well before you can suggest how they might do that. And
Right.
I think for ourselves, it's hard to think about what things do I share and not share. So it's easier said than done. But I definitely think, for anybody listening, the more that we can just keep in our heads, what's something slightly personal that of course relates to the business, but something authentic that people can relate to. The more that we can just sort of keep that in our head and once in a while share with our audience, I think that they do really appreciate that.
Right. I would have to say, like my friend Azriela, she did an incredible job at that on the highest level of people
Mm,
interaction because she had her own mental health issue that happened in her life.
right.
And she talked about it on her podcast, and she talked about the whole, her experience with it and how she dealt with it and what happened and all the different pieces that are go. And she opened up a whole world of people who resonate or who are experience or have experienced that or deal with that. And it brought her in a tremendous amount of business and new opportunities. So that is
Totally.
100% a very good, way. Not everybody can do it, and not everybody can do it as and with their line of business or what they do. But I do think being as authentic as possible. Also, I have a cousin in America that I've also like worked with a little, and I love her. Dr. Stacy Hecht, and she also has become a life coach. And she for sure uses all her own personal life experience, the successes, I don't want to say failures, but the bumps along the way to share what she's doing in the world. And it's also
Mm,
opened so many doors for her in her business.
right. Yeah,
And
I
she,
think the example of Azrael is actually really good. I know exactly what you're talking about. So people might be listening and thinking, what? That feels like a very deep, intense thing to share, like my own mental health journey. So again, I think it applies to everyone on their level. In general, in her business, what I find is she's already very open because her business is helping people develop their own business, with maybe a little bit more of also like an in spiritual sort of spin on things. So already by nature, she's in general having Facebook Lives where she shares this idea and that idea that's a little bit personal. So for her, since that was her, I think, main level that she was operating on, so her sort of like stepping it up a bit was a much deeper thing than maybe you or me or somebody else listening might feel like, oh my gosh, that's way too intense. I can't do that. But I think we each have our own level. Like we have our level that we operate on normally, which is this is the amount I feel comfortable to share, and it doesn't feel like I'm being super vulnerable. And then every once in a while to think of something like this might be a little bit hard, but it's still on topic to my business. It still relates to the people who are listening, which is really what it's all about, is like speaking to your audience. So as long as you feel like it'll relate to them in some way, then it's something to explore. So I think that's a really good example.
Thanks. But yeah, I think that you bringing up the topic is even brilliant, and it's super important to building an authentic relationship with your followers and helping to show that you're a real person. And yes, you have run a business, and yes, these are the tools that you utilize. But when you're just authentic and real with your, they connect to you, and they're going to really even want to follow you even that much more.
Totally. Great.
Okay.
So, maybe next time you're thinking of next steps you could do with your customers, something to keep in mind. Maybe it's a way to help them grow that much more. Yeah. So any final thoughts before we wrap up today? I think we had a great conversation, talked about a lot of really interesting things, from how to sell to how to not really sell but still be selling, and how to be authentic with your audience.
I just want to say one other person in the world that I admire, who's really, I felt like learned how to utilize video and stepped it up to the highest level. And I took her class, is Helen Gottstein, and she's a speaking coach, and she helps sales teams and different kinds of audiences and entrepreneurs and organizations to be able to explain and their message and give it over in that 60-second sales pitch. She learned how to utilize video this year due to Corona situation, and created cute, captivating. She's a third-party person to create video, and created some cute, captivating videos to enhance her message as a branding tool for her sales offerings. And I thought she did it really well. So,
yeah, it's a great example of how you can sort of take your skills and then package them to the needs of the audience. Okay, wonderful.
So it works. I'm behind you.
It works. Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And I think people listening also appreciate it as well.
Thank you.
Of course. And, anyone has any questions, comments, we'll try to address them anytime you post. So thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.